And we're moving right along. So today we are on law number 26. Keep your hands clean. So there's two words that they use predominantly within this law. One is a scapegoat. The number two is a cat's paw. Scapegoat and cat's paw. Those are the words that I want you to keep in mind from the start of this lecture. Before we begin though, I put a note on my phone because I was looking at the sort of analytics of where we're at right now within this noble quest, this university. And we just hit 272 subscribers and 593 watch hours. That's fantastic. That's exciting. So keep in mind, the quest is, as of these numbers, to reach 1,000. We want to get to 1,000 subscribers, not to get partnered, mind you, and then to reach 4,000 watched hours, not for any monetization purposes. It's just for research. But awesome. Awesome. I'm viewing this, number one, as a garden. Number two, as a university with you, everyone a part of it, you watching this as my students, but not my students, students on the path, right? Pursuing truth, pursuing freedom. And I love the idea. I used to play a video game once upon a time. If you've ever played Halo, they have clans, and it's like the clan that you belong to, right? And then in WoW, they have guilds. It's with the group that you belong to, right? Your little community internally within the game, right? And I love that idea with Rat Life now as my guild. I had a guild in WoW, it was called I Work Out. And the leaders, the officers were like me and my brothers. And everybody who was in the guild, the requirement was you had to work out. But I love the idea with Rat Life being this global, not even brand, it's just a symbol. What the key is, if you've ever seen that key that I posted on my Instagram, it symbolizes the key to your escape, the key to your freedom forever. And it's a cause that we can all get behind. As in, your life was not meant to be lived working a fucking 9 to 5. Slaving away, living paycheck to paycheck, barely able to make ends meet, drowning in debt, just paying bills, and just working for necessity until you die, like a good docile obedient slave or rat in the maze. That's not how God meant for us to live our life, man. So in the one that we have, the only pursuit that I believe is a worthy cause and a winnable fight is the pursuit for freedom. Anything else, what the fuck are we doing? We are wasting our time. We are distracting ourselves with things and bullshit that doesn't matter, right? Freedom forever. Right now, I pursued Rat Life. I started it January 18th, 2021. That's when I took great action, the bold and courageous action of quitting your job and going for it. And then I would have to return to the Rat Life end of 2022, working a graveyard shift at Amazon to begin to pay off the fucking debt that I amassed from failing, essentially, the first time when I went for it. But it's not failure, it's just all the lessons that are needed to learn. Little trials that you need to endure, that you need to persevere through if you're gonna make it, right? If you're gonna escape the Rat Life and live free forever. So in total right now, we just crossed my fourth year of this vision, of this dream. And it's actually been quite longer than that. I got the idea for Rat Life the first time I even heard that word and put the brand of my vision, but I didn't know what it would become this many years ago, was April of 2016. If you go to a very, very old either Instagram post or the first YouTube video ever posted about it, it's on a different channel, and the title is Mom, We're on TV, and it was me and my brother, and I think we posted it April of 2016, and the channel is Rat Life. So this has been a cause that I've been working on and fucking persevering through and failing my way forward and just not giving up on, because there's no other cause or calling that I feel bound to. You know, there's no other goal that is worthwhile to me in my one life, in my one run at this existence, and this, you know, this character that I'm playing, this Tarek Hawks, right? I don't understand why not pursue freedom. Why not do everything that you can to live your life as it was meant to be lived? So when I look at those numbers of, 272 subscribers, I'm not looking at a fucking subscriber count or a watched hour. I'm looking at how many people can we reach, can we impact with that message that anyone can escape, that it starts with belief and the courage to pursue. A simple idea that we can all make it. We can all escape the rat life. We can all live a life of perpetual freedom. Freedom forever, right? This is the key. Education is the key. And so the belief is the key, right? It starts with belief. Believing it's possible. Believing it's possible for you to live free. For you not to be a slave for the rest of your life. Believing that you're worthy of freedom. You know, that you're worthy of abundance, that you're worthy of prosperity, that you're worthy of more than just fucking lack, than just the scraps. Because that's what it is when you go to a 9 to 5 and you're settling for a fucking paycheck. The safety net that you're, you know, so tied to, that you're so hell-bent on. It's the scraps of the scraps. They take your paycheck, they tax it, you lose 40% at the door. And then out of that money, anything that you buy, they tax again, right? So if I buy a phone, you pay sales tax on that. And then what are you paying each year? Oh, you're paying income tax, so long as you're living in, you know, a lot of places. I understand that Canada, it's a low number. If you go to the UAE, it's 0. I'm not oblivious to those things, but the whole point is you have your cheese, and then slowly but surely, by the time you've paid all of your overhead expenses, by the time you put it towards all of the debt, just to maintain the lifestyle of the modern rat, right? Like, I can put myself into this because I returned to the rat life. I needed a place to live. Okay, I got an apartment. Okay, then I need a car. Got a car. Didn't buy out the car outright, financed it. Then I need insurance on the car. Then I need to put gas in the car. Then I need clothes. Then I need food. Then I need my gym membership. You put all of your bills on top of this. You put the interest that's accruing on all of your credit cards, on your car that you financed, on your mortgage that you locked in at your sub 3% fucking mortgage interest rate. Bastard. No. You tack that on. You tack on the homeowner's insurance. You tack on the student loans and all the insurance on the credit card. I'm sorry, insurance on the house and on your car. All the interest that's accruing on all 4 of those forms of debt. Not to mention any private loans that you may have. And then, lo and behold, the breadcrumbs that you have, that you're slaving for, that you're killing yourself over, that you're so terrified to leave because you have no idea how fucking resourceful you are once you actually take that leap of faith. Dude, you're left with scraps of scraps of scraps, if anything at all. So when I talk about escaping the rat life, and it's a mantra that I've been reiterating, we're all gonna make it, we're all gonna make it. I've said that to myself every day since June 25th, 2013, since I first heard that quote from that tribute video, Ziz the Legacy, said by Aziz Shavershian. He said, we're all gonna fucking make it, bro, that's it. I've repeated that for over 12 years to myself, that we're all gonna make it, we can all make it, that we can all live free. And I truly believe this is, I don't even need to say this is the year, because I've already made the resolve. I've already made the resolve of what I'm doing, of where I'm going, and I am leading this pilgrimage to freedom, this quest, because I would rather look back on my life knowing I tried and then I went for it and failed than have to live the rest of my life as that fucking rat, that slave working a 9 to 5, bowing and scraping for the fucking crumbs of life, knowing that I could have. That fucking regret and agony and pain and burden is going to eat at me for the rest of my fucking life if I don't go for it. That's why we're doing this lecture. Let's bring it back. That's why we're here today. That's why you're watching this video, is you want to live free. You want to live your best life. You want to be in the best shape possible. You want your dream relationship. You want your dream financial prosperity. You want your abundant life, right? You want to be free in every category. You want to close the gap of who you are and the potential of who you can be. You want to, and by definition, it's like if you've ever seen the Pirates of the Caribbean movie, what you want is the chest of Davy Jones. And she's like, no, what I want is Will, by getting the chest, right? What you want is to escape the fucking rat life. That's what everyone wants. Nobody wants to go to their shit job. Nobody wants to live in a place they don't want to live in. They don't want to drive the shit car that they're driving. A lot of people settle for relationships that they don't actually find passion in, or excitement, or ecstasy within their partner. It's just settled. It's just comfortable. It's just, I mean, you know, a situationship, they call it these days. For a long enough time, I guess we might as well have kids. Miserable, man. A life of mediocrity, just accepted by the fucking masses. You could be that guy or girl that says no, that says fuck this blueprint that someone else is proposing to dump on me. I don't fucking think so. Not in my one life, right? And I don't know if it's just how I've been raised, or if it's just all the circumstances and conditions that have brought me to the point where I'm at today. But there's no fucking world where I'm taking orders and being forced in a forced role of submission to another motherfucker for the rest of my life. I can't do that. I can't, knowing how powerful I am, knowing how resourceful I am, how much knowledge, wisdom, hunger, resilience, perseverance, ability, potential that I have, that I haven't even tapped into, in what fucking world could I justify my potential to that life of settling, to that life of mediocrity? I can't do it. And I don't know how most men look at themselves in the fucking mirror knowing they could be more, and they're settling because of fear, because you're too much of a pussy to try, to take action, to go for it, because you think in your fucking limiting beliefs, your delusion, you have something to lose, when in reality you have nothing to lose by trying ever. You have nothing to lose by telling that person how you feel, ever. You don't lose anyone by being honest with who you are, or how you feel, or what you want. What you will find yourself becoming, I learned this from Greg Plitt, is a man who lives his life on his terms. And that's the man that you have the potential to become. That's the man you could become. That's the man I am becoming. That's the man I am. Is I have one life to live, I'm gonna go for it. I'm not gonna look back on my life with regrets, with what if, with who I could have been, what I could have done, what I could have created, what impact I could have had, what people I could have reached, because I lacked the courage to fucking try, because I was too much of a pussy to get in the car, turn the key, start the engine. I don't fucking think so. I would rather fail as a man in the arena than be a fucking spectator my entire life, who can only talk shit on other people who are trying. I have no interest to be one of those clowns, one of those sheep. So, with that, law number 26. Keep your hands clean. And I told you the two things that is a recurring theme in this law today is an idea of a cat's paw. So it's like get the cat's paw dirty, let the cat do your dirty work for you. And a scapegoat. Scapegoat is someone who you can forfeit all blame to. So I want to start you off with a couple quotes. There's only 4 quotes we're going to go over today. Really, really quick lecture. Here we go. I put reject. This is an idea proposed within this law for a law of power. And I put reject this fucking idea. Have a scapegoat around you to take the blame. I want to make something very, very clear. And I've said this since the beginning of this university. If you're trying to align with masculine tenets and virtues, and that's what you're trying to cultivate, you take full ownership, full accountability, full responsibility every time, always, without question. Anytime a problem arises, it is your fault. Anytime something happens, it is your fault. If it rains outside and you got wet, it's your fault. You could have brought an umbrella. If you go on a flight and you get sick, it's not the person who is sick on that flight's fault. It's yours for attending that flight and being next to that sick person. Put all the responsibility, all the accountability, all the ownership on you. This is the reason why. And this is why this is actual power, not being a bitch and having a scapegoat around you to take the blame. There's nothing more powerful by saying this is my fault. Because when you put the burden of ownership on yourself, you give yourself the power to change and remedy your situation. But every person who allocates blame to other people, it's quite convenient. I can't do anything. I heard someone opening the door. Could be a neighbor. I lost my fire. How convenient is it for you to say, I can't do anything to change my situation or circumstance because of this person, this event, this circumstance, this condition. How fucking convenient. That's the victim narrative, right? They're always involved, and yet they're never at fault. You're not a victim. If you're in this university, if you're a part of Rat Life, this guild, this garden, you're a hero on the path. You're not a fucking victim. And if you're a man watching this, good luck going through your life achieving and amounting to fucking anything or getting anything done or overcoming anything if you go down the route of blaming everyone else. Number one, you're going to find out very quickly, as a man, nobody gives a fuck who you want to blame for your circumstances, your conditions, or how unfair you think you have it. Any person, this is a great quote to embody, man or woman watching this. There's someone out there dreaming to live out your worst day. So what you think is fucking hell, that's someone's dream life. So the next time you feel the need to bitch and moan and have a pity party about your woes, dude, go to the fucking hospital wing. Go to a third world country. Go to a place with real adversity, real struggle, real hardship, real loss, real war, and tell them your fucking problems. And see if they don't smack the fuck out of you. The reason people feel so comfortable to bitch and moan is because they severely lack perspective. It's not in the forefront of their mind. When the person who bitches about how their body aches all the time, they're not looking at the fucking paraplegic right in front of them. They're not looking at the person who has one limb, right? Because if they were, they'd shut the fuck up. But the fact that they feel so comfortable bitching and moaning is just evidence of how easy of a life that they've had up until this point. How, I don't like to overuse the word privileged, but it's essentially someone who lives in a fucking bubble. I think that's the best way to characterize it. So I'm going to repeat it. Everything that happens, even if it's somebody else's fault, is now yours. Why? You give yourself the power to change and remedy the situation. So long as you put blame on someone else, you also forfeit the power to change trajectories, to overcome, to take action. It's the convenient cop-out. It's a literal scapegoat of the common victim bitch. And if you're watching this, you're not one of them. Okay. And I put accept. So that's the idea, the mantra, the ideology to reject, putting blame on anyone but your fucking self. But to accept full ownership, responsibility, accountability always. That's the number one masculine tenet there is. Emotional stoicism, full ownership, full blame, full accountability, right? The ones who can get away with bullshit all the time are children and women. And this is the reason why. And I've said this in videos before, but if all men stood together and didn't tolerate when a woman lacks accountability, and we all stood and said, we're not going to tolerate that bullshit, then women would be able to harbor accountability for their fucking actions. But because there are cuck men who are so desperate to get laid, they validate women's bullshit, and thus they never need fucking accountability. But women get accountability hardest later in life. So I don't want to make this a gender sort of argument, but it's very important if you're a young man watching this. You learned the hard way, dude, very quickly that no one's coming to save you. No one gives a fuck about your problems. We all have our hardships. We all are fighting a war, a battle that we don't tell anyone. We're all just struggling to not, fall into fucking despair. Like, the masculine road is a very lonely path, especially if you embark and you have the courage to pursue the hero's journey. Then it's even lonelier. So just understand that. Just understand that no one's coming to save you. No one is going to feel sorry for you. And so long as you bitch and moan, that's not going to get anything done. And I've always had that software in my brain. Me complaining about it, it's fine. Don't get me wrong. It's fine to cry. It's fine to have your pity party for a fucking day, right? Have your 5 minutes, have your hour, right? But then get to work, right? But then iterate. Okay, what's the problem? Oh, I'm the problem. Okay, what's the solution? I'm also the solution. Wow, what a concept, right? Versus, oh, this person's the problem. No. You're still the problem, always. Always put it on yourself, right? Oh no, my boss is the problem. No. You're the fucking problem for working at that place. Be your own boss. So I hope that makes sense, right? It's very simple, but that will separate you amongst so many men in today's world. It's just nobody affords respect to the guy who doesn't take ownership, who doesn't take responsibility for his actions, who is so quick to take credit and so quick to forfeit blame. He'll take credit when he wins, and yet he'll cast blame when something goes wrong. That's not a leader. That's not a man. That's a bitch. So don't be that guy, right? Be the guy who, when there's a win, especially if you have a team, you fucking allocate credit to all of your team members. The best leaders are the ones who assume laurels last. They always defer. They're like, thank you, Tarek, for doing X. And then you say, actually, I have to say, I appreciate that. Thank you. But it was my team who really brought this to life. they did a great job. They killed it. They put in so many hours. And then if you can harness specific praise and recognition, you'll make those people feel very seen, very heard. If you're able to talk about the little, I think the word is idiosyncrasies, like the little things, little attention to details that they've done that no one else knows about, that is how you're going to make your team feel so valued, so significant, so important. In the book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, he calls it giving everyone a spoon. So imagine you're the leader of a company and you have a cake, right? And you want to just do all the fucking work and, you know, stir the whole cake, and it's your way or the highway. If you want to make your team feel involved, valued, like they matter, you give them a fucking spoon. And a great leader takes all of the counsel of everyone and then is able to communicate whether or not that their vision fits the bigger vision. So again, it's making everyone feel heard. It's making everyone feel valued. And if you do end up using their insights and their ideas, and it contributes to your victory, and you take their fucking credit, how are they going to look at you as a leader, right? So that's what a leader does. They defer credit all the time, and then they always assume responsibility and ownership for their actions. I'll give you a perfect example of when somebody betrayed this, and it was my serpent snake. The serpent tried to throw me under the bus and tried to throw another of the administrators under the bus. And she violated, it was a very visceral reaction I had. She violated this anthropological law that I learned from Simon Sinek. Back in the day, the alpha male would get first choice of mate and first choice of meat. First choice of mate and first choice of meat. And in the tribe, there was no dispute about this, right? And the reason is because they were going to be at the vanguard if danger would arise. As in, their whole responsibility was the protection of the tribe and the provision for the tribe. So that's the lead hunter. Like, you're going to make sure we're fed, and you're going to make sure that we're protected from any outside enemy. Okay, right? So we don't question, we don't have any qualms that you get the first choice of mate and the first choice of meat. Okay. Nothing has changed to modern day rat life from hunter-gatherer times. None of us complain when our superior gets the higher title, gets the increased pay, gets the corner office for the same fucking premise. As in, you're going to protect us and you're going to provide for us. They provide for us with a paycheck. They don't have to do anything for that. They protect us that when danger is afoot and our job security is in question, right? It's not us getting murdered in today's civil world. But when the job security is in question, when the person who they are oversee has done some mistake, they're the motherfucker who takes blame, who takes ownership. Why? Because any person that they oversee is their responsibility. So we love the leaders who defer credit, who always give it to us, and then who always take responsibility and blame and ownership, even when we fuck up, right? And we fucking despise the ones who cast us when danger's afoot. They fucking throw us to the wolves. That's what my serpent did to me and to countless other people. That is the shittiest kind of leader that there is, right? The one who takes all of the benefit, yet not at the premise of the fucking deal to begin with. Zero risk. And yet they get all the reward. No. Those people need to get fucking banished, right? They need to be, extradited from their position. But that is how that kind of a snake serpent, which we're going to go over momentarily, those are the ones that you forfeit all respect for because they violated a visceral law, an underlying agreement that you made from the jump, from when you started, when you signed on, when you joined that fucking tribe, right? You gave them your trust. You gave them you entrusted them with your life, right? With the provision for yourself, for your family, and the protection for yourself and for your family. But it's so important, especially if you're a young man watching this, that's your job. It is your job. I'm working this right now. Dude, my mom is still working. She's 60, I think she's 67, or she's 66 turning 67. And she's still working, saying, dude, you know what her number one goal was this year? And what's fueling my fire? I asked her, I said, what's your number one goal for 2025? To put aside $10,000 for my fucking funeral. And I'm just like, and I'm thinking about taking a day off. And I'm thinking about relaxing and resting and not working. When my mom, her number one goal for the year is to put aside 10 grand because she doesn't want to burden her children with the cost of her fucking death. And so if you don't have a fire in you to protect your team, to provide for your family, then you need to get the fuck out of this university, because that is the number one, I know I said number one virtue of masculinity, is emotional stoicism and full ownership and responsibility. But it ties in with the ownership and responsibility. You are responsible for protecting and providing for your family. If you're a young man watching this, that's the, when you start the path of becoming a man, that's when you leave boyhood, right? And I'm not saying don't retain your childlike cheer. You can retain that and be a great provider. That's the exact path that I'm going down. But if you don't have any sort of prerogative or feel any sort of guilt, or you feel like you don't have any responsibility to provide for your fucking team, I don't know what to tell you. I would highly recommend looking in the fucking mirror and asking yourself, what the fuck are you doing with your life? I would recommend actually you look at a picture of your family, and then in terms of putting the blame and ownership on yourself, look at all of those people and say this mantra to yourself. Every single one of these people's lives could be made better if I didn't lack the courage to pursue. My neglect, the consequence of it, is every single one of these people that I say that I love. So do you see the mantra to reject and what to accept? Moving on. Quote from the book. I don't know what to do about the shine. I'm not even sweating, but the lights here, it's just maddening. I need to fix that. I'm very self-conscious about it. But a quote to move on. In fact, it is often wise to choose the most innocent victim possible as a sacrificial goat. So this is tying in with the scapegoat. Such people will not be powerful enough to fight you. Be careful, however. Do not create a martyr. It is important that you remain the victim, the poor leader betrayed by the incompetence of those around you. When I read that, I thought, how fascinating. How fascinating. And it was a quote from a previous law. The serpent with a long memory. If hurt or deceived, this man will show no anger on the surface. He will calculate and wait. Then when he is in a position to turn the tables, he will exact a revenge marked by cold-blooded shrewdness. And then I talked about it's not a serpent, it's John Wick. When you're a nice person, when you're full of heart. Because this one delineates this person as cold and unaffectionate. So I said, you can be calculated. You can have a lot of cunning. You can be very shrewd. You can have high intellect and not be a snake serpent in the grass. But this quote that said to choose the innocent victim, the most innocent victim possible. And I thought that's exactly what my serpent tried to do with me. Like, here's somebody who very agreeable to his peers, a masterful courtier when it comes to all of the other managers and directors and administrators and other leaders, and is that perfect liaison for the higher ups and the board members, even board presidents, even outside school districts, for outside school districts. And then this one, because the serpent is going toe to toe with me right now in the arena. Be careful, however, do not create a martyr. It is important that you remain the victim. Wow. That you remain the victim, the poor leader betrayed by the incompetence of those around you. And I thought, what a fucking snake, right? To try to put blame. And the way that they do this, and you can resonate this if you're living the rat life, with the most toxic, manipulative serpent is gaslighting. It's exactly what they're doing with my case right now. They're the ones doing all of the abuse. They're the ones doing all the harassment, all of the bullying. And yet that's what they've branded me as, this hostile character. And that's the importance, I would say, about imploring these laws. The title of this is Keep Your Hands Clean, but a previous law is guard your reputation with your life. Or keep your reputation like impeccable, your life depends on it. And it's very, very true. Because I've been so a man who aligns with integrity and within character and in consistency within his actions. In my stead, I've created that consistent story within every person that I've ever worked with. And the only ones who have been manipulated by a false narrative without confronting me, they were serpent snakes to begin with. So there's nothing you can do about those people. Those are the incompetent. Those are the stupid. But for the person who's the toxic serpent snake, they're the ones who are trying to remain the victim when they take on this sacrificial goat to take all the blame. And so, but the reason that I wrote this and that it's so important is such people will not be powerful enough to fight you. That's completely false. Because what this law omits is a person who you choose a fight with, who's anointed by God. And when you have God on your side, there's a good quote, if he be with us, who can stand against us? And also, tied in with God, is what is the consequence when you do fuck up and you do choose that shrewd opponent, right, who's very calculated, who has very great intelligence and cunning, and you make a martyr out of him, and his courage inspires other people of influence to enact courage. Oh, you fucked up. And I don't want to jump ahead, but the consequence of that is once the truth is revealed, events will snowball beyond your control. And then I put, until it's checkmate, bitch. Next, you need a cat's paw. So we went over a scapegoat, right? Now we're going to talk about a cat's paw. So scapegoat is the person that you try to throw under the bus and you try to retain the guise of the victim. And again, what do we talk about in this university? You're not going to be one of these bitches, right? You're not going to be one of these victims, one of these serpent snakes, right? One of these weasel rats. No, you're not going to do that. But now we're talking about a cat's paw. Now what this is somebody who you get to do your dirty work for you, to enact the law, keep your hands clean. You need a cat's paw. Someone who does the dirty, dangerous work for you. The cat's paw grabs what you need, hurts whom you need hurt, and keeps people from noticing that you are the one responsible. The leader of my organization is the perfect person. He's the one who has implored my serpent snake as his cat's paw. As in, the one who's responsible for all the abuse and all the harassment and all the bullying that I've been subject to isn't the one who's been doing the abuse. It's the one who's been tolerating this fucking person's behavior and permitting it as a consequence. He's the one responsible. Not the person doing the abuse, because she wouldn't be able to do it if it wasn't for this pussy, if it wasn't for this coward and cuck. So it's so important when you're the leader, or if you're just trying to be a man, that number one, let's summarize. You take full ownership and responsibility for your actions, always. You are always at fault. Even if you feel like you're not at fault, be a man. Act like one. You are at fault. You're responsible. You take ownership and accountability for everything, anytime, always. Period. Next. You don't get sacrificial lambs and goats. You're not a snake, serpent, weasel, rat. You don't have scapegoats. Why? Because you are the one to blame. Always. You never allocate blame to anyone else, ever. And number 3, you don't act like a bitch and get other people to do your dirty work for you, right? That is the biggest weasel, rat, cuck, coward. Let's use a kinder word. That's a coward, right? And that's somebody who's such a pussy that they don't have the spine to, number 1, stop the action. Number 2, act like the leader who, again, what's the leader's job? Protection and provision for his fucking clan, his guild, his tribe. So the one who's allowing the endangerment of the people that he's supposed to oversee, that isn't someone who's fit to be a leader, right? That's a fucking coward. That person, as well as they call it the cat's paw, the serpent snake, those are the ones who need to be fucking exiled, right? Because who's the casualty? All of the people that they say that they're protecting and providing for, when in reality, all they're doing is filling their own coffers, stuffing their own pockets, securing their own best interests and means. Those are the shittiest leaders. Those aren't men, those aren't women. Those are garbage leaders. And that's omnipresent within the rat life. Are people who implore the other ones to do the dirty, dangerous work for them. And I'll reiterate, the cat's paw grabs what you need, hurts who you need to work, hurts whom you need to hurt, while you turn a fucking blind eye like the coward that you are, and keeps people from noticing that you're the one responsible. That's a coward. That's not a man. That's somebody who's not affiliated with rat life, with Tarek Hawks in the slightest. They don't have character. They don't have integrity. They don't have morality. They're a pussy. So, does all that make sense? It should. Do you understand which ideologies and virtues you want to align with? If you don't, I would highly recommend to watch this over again and then make your choice. But I've been explicitly clear where I stand on this and where I would encourage you to as well. Reversal. The cat's paw and the scapegoat must be used with extreme caution and delicacy. They are like screens that hide your own involvement in dirty work from the public. If at any moment the screen is lifted and you are seen as the manipulator, the puppet master, the whole dynamic turns around. Your hands will be seen everywhere, and you will be blamed for misfortunes you may have had nothing to do with. Once the truth is revealed, events will snowball beyond your control. And I put until it's checkmate. That's exactly what is going on right now with everything that I'm going through within the rat life, and my exit and my escape and my liberation, thanks to God, from that hellhole is, number one, they made the mistake of choosing the wrong sacrificial lamb, the wrong scapegoat, the one not to be fucked with. Number two, they thought that all of their lies they could forever get away with. But God and karma, there's nothing more real than that. You reap what you sow. And there's a good quote, and I keep reiterating it because it's so prevalent for me in my case, in my testimony, that better a millstone to be tied around the neck of a person and them tossed into a river than for them to lay a hand on a child of God. And if you're anointed, right, if you're a chosen one, right, if you're one of God's children, and a motherfucker makes the mistake of laying a hand on you, or trying to go to war with you, or trying to throw you under the bus and get you, pick what you will, unalived, fucking homeless, jobless, and they try to, be the one responsible for your downfall, they're going to be severely fucking mistaken for who they tried to contest. And it all comes from you aligning with character and integrity and respect and courtesy and dignity, and you being just a man in the arena. And these people who think that they're going to win this victory, this spiritual war, the last line of that was, the truth will be revealed. Once the truth is revealed, events will snowball beyond your control. As in one concept that this idiot could not fathom was the consequence of other people being fed up with all of their abuse, right? Because they're so stupid and blinded by their ego, insecurity, fear, and pride. That thought never crossed their mind. So they're playing chess with a perceived grandmaster, and I'm playing with a fucking toddler, right? In this arena. That's the gift you get when somebody who's a very insecure, stupid, horrific leader thinks that they're a worthy opponent in the realm of intellect, in the realm of war, in the realm of cunning, right? So that law and those ideas that they propose, that you'll be outnumbered, you'll be less powerful, your victory or your failure, your demise is all but ensured, it couldn't be further from the truth. You have no idea what kind of help you're going to get. You have no idea what kind of angels are going to fight for you. You have no idea how God is going to step in. You have no idea the other people who are going to, that your heroism and courage, you have no idea who that's going to inspire, right? Or who is going to be inspired by your courage, by your integrity, by you having the courage to be the man in the arena, the one guy who says enough, right? And you could be that guy, right? You could lead that charge of freedom, of standing up to the bully, of slaying the fucking serpent once and for all that has been abusing everyone within their position of authority. So I ask you, what kind of man do you want to be? What kind of leader do you want to be, right? So when we talk about keep your hands clean in this university, I want you to get your hands dirty. I want you to align with the principles and virtues and ideologies that we want to exalt on our path to masculine leadership, right? To become Christ-like, to be the man that we want to be, our villain, like we talked about in the last lecture. We don't want to be one of these weasels, one of these rats, one of these serpents, one of these snakes, one of these fucking cowards, right? Getting other people to do dirty work for you, or being the person who blames other people, or the one who tries to assume the guise of the victim, the poor leader betrayed by his team. Those aren't leaders. Those aren't men, those aren't women. Those are snakes, serpents, and cowards. And you're not one of them. So with that is law number 26. Keep your hands clean. And with that, what is rat life? Anyone can escape. Starts with belief and the courage to pursue. That is rat life, and we are all gonna make it. I'll see you guys tomorrow.